Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. This is a bonus episode where we review A Quiet Place. Enjoy.
Hey guys, welcome back to a very special Brian and Dylan Take on the World. Obviously, I am joined by my friend Brian, but we are also joined by a very, very special guest, our friend Tamor. Tamor,
Hello.
please, yes. Oh, I'll jump ahead before I was finished talking, but Tamor, welcome to Brian and Dylan Take on the World.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
I am excited to be talking to anyone other than Brian. So this is
That's very fair, very fair. So you might some more is like the Stan Lee of the channel. Like he shows up every now and then, but he's really like in charge of everything behind the scenes.
Depending on who you ask, that could be like a very bad thing.
Well,
Like Jack Kirby fans are like, fuck Stanley. Yeah,
well, yeah, it's
but I'll take it.
it's not bad. Although I have checked the comments. There have been a few like fire Tamor from the 3 comments we get. So.
yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly Jenny.
Yeah, well, for all the memes that you've made.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, as long as you haven't had a 3-month cold like Brian has, because as long as you're not sniffling into the mic, like the 3-month-long cold Brian has been dealing with, I will accept it.
I think this is just my life. I need to move to a place where there's no trees. In fact, this setting of the movie would be really bad. Yeah, but I live right outside. It's like a bunch of trees.
Yeah.
I apparently like just yell in my sleep, so I would not survive either.
I've thought about that too. Like, what if you're like out and you have to sneeze, or you have like sleep apnea? You just like die.
Yeah.
Like,
No. Yeah. Easily the quit. Yeah. We'll get into this. Obviously, today we are talking about A Quiet Place. I have mentioned it previously on the podcast, and then Brian, of course, has finally seen it, and we decided that we want to do a little bit of a spoiler discussion.
Instead of derailing the last podcast, because I already derailed it pretty hard about my Justice League thoughts, we were like, why don't we save this for another episode? So we're like, cool. And then I was like, oh, we should get Tamor too, because Tamor is a filmmaker, so I'm sure he has some more in-depth thoughts on this movie than we do as just fans of films. So
he will probably have much more. Yeah, he will probably have much more knowledgeable takes than just, oh, this movie sucked, man, or this movie was good. Our takes are. So.
Our takes are like, wasn't it cool when the monster did the thing? Because it was cool.
Monsters are cool.
Yeah, monsters are cool, confirmed.
All right, so A Quiet Place has been out for almost like exactly a month now. Actually, I think it's a little bit over a month.
Mm-hmm.
But it's sitting pretty solid with an 8.0 on IMDb. And I think it's at a 95 on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty high. And I just looked, and it's actually still 3rd at the box office for being out for a month.
Wow. That's pretty crazy.
Not a whole lot of competition, but it's only behind Avengers, obviously, and then Overboard, which I didn't even know people went and saw Overboard, but
I don't even know what that is.
No, I don't either. So it's here though.
Who is Shailene Woodley? Is that the actress who's in it? And
Shailene
Sam Claflin.
All right, Brian, don't divert the podcast.
So, guys, I saw this movie, Overboard, and now I haven't seen Overboard.
All right, so initially, I think I ended up giving this like a 9.5. I thought very, very highly of this movie. Tamor and Brian, now that you've seen it, what are your thoughts?
Tamor, would you like to go first?
Well, I actually have one question that I want to ask you guys.
Yes.
Sure.
What because this film is like so quiet. I mean, it's obviously in the title, and the premise is you can't make noise. What were your experiences like seeing the movie in a theater? Was it like really annoying? Because at least for me, like I could just people were like eating and talking, and I mean not like blatantly talking, but during certain parts it'd be like, no, don't do that, don't step on this. It'd be like, I'd be like, oh my god, just shut up. It's like a silent fucking movie.
So I ended up lucking out with a theater that was pretty quiet. Although I had a pack of M&Ms, and I was very, very nervous.
I had
to even
Reese's
go and get
Pieces
one.
and I didn't eat them.
Yeah.
I kind of
didn't.
I was like, I can't do this.
I created a system where I would slowly like kind of bring it down to like level with my leg, and then try to slowly pour it onto my leg until like something came out and I can eat one M&M at a time. But no, I lucked out with like I went to like a kind of a late showing, so I think I got a little bit more of an older crowd. So I lucked out with a relatively quiet theater. Yeah. So I have no complaints on that. And although once they were around the water, I kind of like just dumped out my whole.
Yeah, exactly. That was the moment.
Right. The waterfall part. All right, everyone, take out your popcorn.
That's pretty much like what happened. Once there was a lot of noise, I kind of just went to town. I binged eated.
For me, it was really fortunate. Everyone was very respectful of the movie. I think the first couple of minutes, everyone was like eating stuff like normal, and then it just like slowly trailed off, and then like no one like ate for the rest of the movie, and no one said anything. It was really good.
Yeah, I think the key was as long as you didn't have like any dicks talking. Like obviously you can get by candy, but anybody talking during that was just an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of went into it like expecting that. I was just like, I don't know why here in New York I have like the worst luck with crowds. Maybe it's just like the tribe people that live here and go to movies, but I was like, I'm just gonna prepare myself for this. Like, it's gonna be annoying. I'll try to ignore it, but still enjoyed the movie nonetheless.
So let's try to get like a little bit of actually we can I think we could save ratings towards the end. We have my ratings, but we can save your guys' rating towards the end. So Brian, since Tamora went first last, what was your some of your favorite parts about this movie?
Ooh, favorite parts. I think they did a really good job building tension throughout. I liked the subtle details that they added, like the adaptations that the family had made. No doors, obviously, on anything. They didn't. On the Monopoly board, they used like felt pieces and little like craft things for the hotels. No plates, no utensils. You know, all that interesting stuff. And then my sister is deaf and she has a cochlear implant, so it was really interesting to see a movie where like that was such like an important part of the plot. And I talked to her afterwards, and she was like, "Oh yeah, you know, it was obviously really cool for me to see, you know, another character in a movie that has a cochlear implant, because that's obviously extremely rare." So that was some of the stuff that I liked quite a bit.
Some more.
What are the parts that I liked best? Let's see. I mean, what Brian was saying, it's the subtleties were like really, really good, but there was a lot of things that just bugged me as far as like, I don't know, they were just like shorthand for like, I don't know, like it'll be like, oh, she's gonna read this thing that says, how do you kill these or how do we like defeat them? Which to me was just like, really, would you write that? Would this like farmer write this on this board and keep it up for like 2-3 years?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that like maybe he was writing it as it like he figured it out and then he just never erased it. You know, that was my only thought, was like, you know, he had the board there, he was like watching them, and then he just like write it, and then he just like was like, well, I'm not gonna erase it because this is my life now.
Right. And yeah, I know, Brian, you're sort of the same. You always have like whiteboards that like remain the same for like years on it.
I will say mine is still Thanos from that movie we did, Dylan.
Yeah, that Jenny worked on for like 3.5 hours, and it made like the corner of the screen when we did the video.
Yeah, you know, it's just that's how it is in the biz, right? Lots of time spent on background things.
Yeah. But as far as things that I liked, I mean, the sound design obviously was like amazing, and even the music was just like at the right times was just like really good, and I feel like they were able to like pull it back at the right moments. And yeah, same thing with the deaf character, like having those scenes from her perspective where the sound just cuts out.
Yes,
That was
that
like
was awesome.
really cool. I actually like kind of wanted more of that. I was like, this is like a really clever device that you could really utilize. But, yeah.
So what
I'm
about
kind
you,
of on.
Dylan?
I'm kind of on the same boat as you guys. I really appreciated the attention to detail with this movie, with a lot of things. The how smart. I mean, I guess it was really more the writers than anything, but how smart the characters were. The things they did, like for example, when she finally was having the baby, they were able to change all the lights from regular to red, which I thought was interesting. I thought everything, even like once they were down in the water, obviously that made a lot of sense that they had the sound to block out the smaller noises. Kind of going into one of my issues with it though is I don't understand why they didn't just move down near the river. I guess like it's not really ideal to like.
I think like would they just sleep by the river?
Yeah, like you would have to sleep on the ground because obviously you can't build up.
Yeah,
like,
you can't build a house.
Like you're not gonna like bring in like a construction team to build it. So I kind of get why they didn't do that, but I really thought more than anything the attention to detail I thought worked really well with this movie. Kind of what Tamor just said as well. When with I don't remember the character's name, but like when the deaf girl when it was cutting in and out and when she was adjusting her hearing aid with the high frequency, I really enjoyed that. And I also liked the monsters. They didn't really play too much into like the jump scare with the monsters. Like you knew when they were coming pretty much.
Yeah, they used jump scares for other things though.
Yeah, 100%.
That's actually one of my pet peeves in movies is jump scares.
It's
like
kind of
so
like
cheap. Like you can make horror without those.
They seem cheap.
Yeah, and I felt like this movie was above them, but then they'd use it. You know?
Yeah. Like the hand, there's like that one part where it's like, where is she?
Yeah.
Oh, he's behind him. Do we really need to like? A scary moment right
now. So to kind of jump from, I guess we can kind of like skip through like recaps of the movie. Cold open, one of the crazier cold opens in any horror movie I've seen because it gets pretty dark pretty damn quick. But obviously
usually kids are safe in horror movies, no matter how dumb they are.
And he was also like the youngest, cutest of all of them. And that kid was messed up by that monster.
Oh, for sure.
I kind of don't get why I think I might have missed it. Did he like end up putting the batteries back into the ship?
Yeah, she gave him the batteries, right? No, she gave him the ship.
Yeah, that's why she kind of like blames herself.
Yeah, and he took the batteries, and I was kind of like, I didn't realize if you put the batteries back in. I'm like, that was one of my problems, and then I kind of thought about it, but I was like, I don't understand why the thing would still have power.
Yeah.
But regardless, that was pretty wild. That kind of set the tone for the whole movie. Like, okay, these monsters, like, they could kill really anyone, I guess.
Yeah, and it's like pretty cool and well shot and scary.
Yeah, really memorable.
Scary.
Yeah, and I think it's really good, like foreshadowing for like, you know, little kids are the hardest thing to control, especially if you're trying to make them zero noise. And it's like, oh, they're gonna have a baby. As soon as we like return back to them, it's like, oh, let's see how that goes. But
yeah. So let's get into that. We jump forward. I think it was like a year or so after that.
Yep, it was like day 89 to like day 417.
Yep. And so we see the family on like their little like farm compound thing. We see them going throughout their daily activities. We also see that Emily Blunt is pregnant, which my first initial reaction was, how the hell do you allow that to happen?
Quietly.
Yep.
This is the waterfalls, I guess.
I don't know if they had a nice little picnic over by the waterfall.
Yeah, they had the waterfall.
And it kind of plays in later in the movie. I can't, like, that would be like that'd be my biggest fear, because obviously there's no
especially
way.
After that opening.
Yeah, I'm kind of just like, you know, maybe I'm done with kids for a while. Also, like, kids aren't, a baby's not going to be quiet.
No.
I mean, there's probably an endless amount of condoms around them, too. I don't think any of them are expired yet. And those are also kind of loud to
Too
open.
Loud, yeah, like the chips are still on the shelf, so.
But, that was really one of the things I was just like, come on. Like, that, I get it, you need it for, like, the plot, and it obviously spiced things up later, but I just, in real life, I would have been like, I'm staying away from you for like probably till all these monsters are gone.
I don't understand. They could have easily just like had this first scene been like 60 days right? And then this other part of the movie, like, you know, like 8 months after this happened, where she was pregnant before it happened, you know?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Because then it's like unavoidable, like, oh shit, like, what are we gonna do? And they strike me as a pretty religious family. You know, obviously you have the scene where they're praying together, and so I don't think they're like the type of people who would, like, you know, have an abortion or do anything like that. So
yeah, and my reasoning always for it was like they lost their kid, so like they want to make up for it, have another kid, new one. But yeah, it's also just like that's just logically, what are you doing?
Yeah, so then we kind of see that I think John Krasinski's character's name is Lee. We see I'm just gonna call him John Krasinski. We see John
and I mean, like, I don't think they're named ever, right? Like, no one ever, obviously, no one says anyone's name.
Yeah, I was, yeah. So John Krasinski, we see that he's down in his basement, and as we kind of mentioned earlier, he is working on a new hearing aid for his daughter to try to get one so she can be able to hear. I think they're kind of saying also that she's not like completely deaf. She just doesn't have a functioning hearing aid.
A cochlear implant is when you are completely deaf, like you can't hear at all.
Okay,
so it's different from a hearing aid, which is like to boost like some hearing that you still have. So she is completely deaf if she has a cochlear implant.
Gotcha.
And I'm guessing it broke, and he's just like, oh, like I don't know how to fix this.
This
Like,
is why I need adults to guide me through.
This sucks.
So yeah, we see him down in the basement. We see him working on a new implant for his daughter. We also see some of the news clippings all around him. We see that he is also using Morse code to try to transmit to anyone who will be able to hear him.
I love the newspaper clippings, by the way.
So that's what I was going to kind of bring up. One of the things I thought was a little strange is that, and you guys said it earlier. They almost immediately gave up that there was no way to stop these creatures at all. Bombs. I mean, it sounded like they were bombing the shit out of these creatures before. That wasn't working. Yeah. I don't think that they mentioned. Did they mention how?
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, I was just saying. They mentioned how long or how quickly all these people got wiped out.
No, it doesn't say like when everyone dies. Obviously, I think a few weeks at least, because there's still, you know, there's. So I think there's a newspaper clipping that says like that a comet hit Mexico, right?
Okay.
So let's assume that's like the epicenter of, you know, the alien outbreak, and then they just like are killing people from there.
I actually missed the comet one, so I'm glad you just brought that up. That makes a little bit more sense. But no, okay, so yeah, alien. So yeah, we have to go with alien at this point. So it's understood.
All right.
Tomorrow, no, go ahead with what you were going to say.
Well, I was going to say, and maybe this doesn't make sense now I'm thinking about it, but this, like, bombs are incredibly loud. Wouldn't that, like, affect them or, like, hurt them in a sense? Because I feel like their weakness was just, like, the loudness of those implants. Is that what it was? Especially once she, like, puts it up to the speaker, it's like,
Yeah, the frequency that it's like a dog, you know, like, they can hear different...
Like the the high pitched frequency. Yeah, I think is what kind of really did him in. So I think then after that, obviously they're talking about obviously she's pregnant. They're also talking about how the daughter blames herself for what happened a year earlier with her brother, and then we see that. Yep, and we see that the kids are playing Monopoly, which is the scene we saw in all the trailers. One of them mistakenly knock over the lantern, and then we hear one of the monsters coming. This is really our first contact with the monsters other than the brother in the beginning. And everything sounds terrifying when these things come around. Like, it just got up on the roof, and it just sounded horrible. I would not want to live a life going through that. I
think like after a while, like when it's pretty clear, so you have to just be quiet. It's like it seems like you die pretty quick. So
yeah,
maybe
I think I probably would have been, like we said, I think I would have been one of the ones to go almost. So then after that, we get to the part where they're splitting up. John Krasinski and his son are going out to go hunt. I don't remember exactly what they were doing.
collecting fish, I think.
Collecting fish, yes. So they're going down by the river. The son, terrified, doesn't want to go. He doesn't really like fully trust his dad that he'll be okay. The daughter, however, wants to go, and John says no.
Yes.
Which I think because he was trying to give more attention to the son, and obviously kind of
and plus,
the whole thing.
You know, the whole scene's like about how they can't hear you here, and it's like it would have kind of been like shitty for her because she can't like hear the waterfall or any of that stuff.
True.
You know, so it's like it's more for him, and he was like way more afraid than she was.
Mm-hmm.
So he like wanted to show it like, hey, we can survive. Like, it sucks, no doubt, but there are other people with fires, so you know there's other people out here.
Yeah, because she dipped after that. She's like, you know, I'm out of here. Like, I'm gonna go walk around with all these monsters around. But that's also the kind of the first time where he gives her the new hearing aid, or I'm sorry, the new implant, which will obviously be key later. Right. But this also gives us the point I was trying to get to talk about. This gives us the introduction to the nail on the stairs.
Yeah, Chekhov's nail.
And so, Tamar, you can probably lend a little more thoughts on this, but that was one of the more intense build-ups to something in a movie where it's gonna happen, but the build-up to it actually happening was so fucking intense and cringeworthy. I thought that was really well done. The whole thing with the nail. It's something as simple as a nail as well.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of like feels like an atomic bomb that like hasn't exploded but like landed, and it's like, oh fuck, when is that gonna play out? And then it just satisfyingly does, because she's like giving birth or whatever, water breaks, and it's like, all right, all these things are starting to pile up. This is fucking crazy.
Yeah, and she's like holding it together so well, and then she steps on a nail, and it's just like the straw.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So John Krasinski and the son, they're out near the water. They decided they're going to start going back. The son kind of seems like him and the dad also talk. He's like, the daughter doesn't think that you love her anymore because of what happened, and that kind of hits John Krasinski. I don't think that he fully realized that's how she felt. And then we get John Krasinski and the son walking back, and they come into contact with an old lady who is dead. Obviously, you have to assume that she was killed by one of the monsters.
Yeah.
And then we have the old man, who, as we saw in all the trailers, is kind of basically committing suicide at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of in a really, really big dick move, just yells.
Yeah, huge dick move. Yeah, I wanted to say something about that, because, like...
Yes, please do.
Plus, I mean, spoilers, but obviously we're talking about the whole movie, but then John Krasinski does it later.
Yeah.
To me, like, someone yelling on screen, even though, like... It makes sense in the world, that's like a deadly act, but to me it's just like the least cinematic thing ever, and it's just like, to me it was just so lame, like particularly when he does it later in the movie. It's just like, couldn't you just pick up the axe and like fight it and make a bit of noise and have the same like?
I would have thought it would have been an even cooler scene later if he just drops the axe, and just the sound of it hitting the ground is enough to like.
Yeah, I mean,
because it would have been like a cool slow-mo scene. It hits the ground, and then the creature like turns, and that just kills him. You know.
I don't know. I thought he should have fought it out until the very end. You know, because at least he would have had some chance. Yeah, but he could have at least, I don't know, done something. But the scream in general to me was just like, oh my god, this is so lame. Because you could see it on his face. He's like trying, you know, as an actor, he's just like giving it his all. And
literally like screaming to the point where he just doesn't have breath anymore.
Yeah,
I kind of agree. It was a little bit of a it's an odd death. I have to agree. I want to touch upon that scene in a second, but obviously we get the old guy kind of screaming, huge dick move. He could have just let them like run away or like get further away. He was just like, I'm done. My wife's dead. Come get me. At the meantime, back in the house, we have when Emily Blunt's water broke, is that when she stepped in the nail, or was it after that?
It was like right before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Downstairs, and I think to turn the lights from white to red.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the water broke, and then, or she was having contractions, or so she's going downstairs, steps on the nail. You knew it was coming. Like I said, the build up to it, it works. And then once she finally stepped on it, I felt like I stepped on the nail. Like I just cringed in my seat.
Yeah.
It's just like the thought of that, especially like you have to be quiet, so you can't even make a noise. Like you're having a baby, so that sucks. That's a whole bunch of pain. At the same time, you're nervous as hell because there's monsters running around. And then your daughter, who is like in her teenage years, all pissed off, is like out somewhere, and you have no idea where the hell she is. So, I really feel for Emily Blunt in this movie because she kind of went through hell.
Yeah, she was amazing.
I thought her acting did really well. Yeah, no, she's a fantastic actress. I thought she probably, like, acting wise, was like the star of this movie. So we finally get that. She runs down. She turns the lights on red. She's having this baby. I think at this point the daughter sees the lights are red, but also we have a bunch of monsters running around here. John Krasinski and the son are finally making their way back to there. They see that the monsters are red, and then Emily Blunt gets up into the house and climbs into the tub where she is preparing to have this baby. Meanwhile, we have the two. I don't remember how did John Krasinski tell his son to, like, hide?
To do the rockets.
To do the rockets, that's what it was. That's another thing that I thought was very smart that they put in there. That, like, you can see that if you're in that situation, that's what you would do. Would set up some sort of distraction.
Right, and a little reference back to the kid who said the rockets are gonna save us, take us away. And call them the rockets instead of fireworks.
I thought that was also pretty cool. So the son sets off the rockets. Meanwhile, John Krasinski's trying to make his way back to the house. And then we have the son hiding underneath the tractor after that. And we have the other daughter still out there walking around. And so John Krasinski finally gets back to the house, and he's not sure what the hell happened to his wife. Because Emily Blunt, I kind of just walked through this. Emily Blunt was in the tub, and then she also heard the monster coming up the stairs. And that's kind of where we left off with her.
And the scream, but covered up by the giant explosions, was a great scene too.
Yep. It's tough for me though, because every time I see something like that, I always think of the Family Guy, where they were making fun of the Shawshank Redemption, and Peter was hiding in the sewers. Right. And every time the warden was watching Friends, and like the Bang and the Friends theme song played, Peter Griffin would hit the pipes. Right. And for some reason, when I saw that scene, that's what I thought about. I don't know. So John Krasinski makes his way into the house. You see a lot of blood. You're left to believe that maybe the wife could have been killed. And then when he's looking around, a hand pops up. I scared the shit out of myself.
Yeah, that was actually the one jump scare that I was like, okay, I can kind of, like, it's at least real. Like, she, like, probably was all fucked up and then saw him and just, like, could only, like, muster, like, putting her hand on the window, you know?
Then we find out that obviously the baby was born. She's okay. The baby's okay. They have to make their way down to it's in their barn. It's underneath their barn, correct? Yes. So they have to make their way down to their quiet room in the barn, which I'll get into this. This is the part where my anxiety was kicking in with this movie. Because I have a 1-year-old daughter, so, like, the thought of having to go through this is just fucking terrifying. So they make their way over to the barn. The kids are still outside. The kids eventually fall through the little rice grain, little seed thing. And this is where we get the first look of where the frequency plays in with the implant. Because once they finally get out of there with the monster that jumped in to try to get them, they get out, and she starts adjusting her implant, and we see the monster kind of freak out. And that was like our first little.
Like, breaks out of the silo. And that's how they're able to jump out.
So that's kind of obviously where we click and we're like, oh, okay. So that's going to play in later. Now we know it affects them somehow. Which I kind of was saying earlier. I'm a little surprised that nobody, like, in the government like that thought of that. Because
if they're sound,
No, go ahead, Timur.
Oh no, I was gonna say, just like, if they're attracted to sound, maybe try, like, blowing their ears out or something, or
like
playing with sound.
with a huge frequency attracts them all, and then but opens them up enough, and then they blow them all up.
It's all in hindsight though, but that seems pretty smart. I'm surprised. That's why I questioned how quickly everybody was wiped out.
Yeah.
Seems like something.
It's hard.
Seems like something that someone in the government could have figured out.
Right.
Well, the other thing I was wondering was like how popular the Earth was, because it seemed like that, because there's that part where you see like all of his neighbors light the fires and then they don't later, which to me, I didn't know how to read that, if it was like they're all dead, or I mean logically it's like the middle of the fucking night, so they're not like looking out their windows, or if they're just trying to keep quiet and not attract attention or something. But yeah, it was like that was a lot of neighbors.
Yep.
For like an empty world, and assuming like the rest of the world is that level, it's like there's actually probably a good amount of people still.
Yeah, well, it's hard to like. We don't know how many like aliens there are. You know, like obviously they would have gone to the population centers if they're attracted to sound. So we don't know where they are. I'm guessing like upstate New York, because that's where it was filmed. So they could potentially be pretty far away from like any real cities. And that's why there's only like 3 aliens in the whole like area.
Right, but like the city could be like totally overrun. Like
we just don't know. You know, there's just not enough info for us to go on.
So they finally, John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, they get down to the barn, the room that he was working on the whole time. She wakes up and realizes that she had the baby. She's wondering where the baby is, and John Krasinski tells her she's okay. And they look over, and we before saw, sorry, I'm jumping all around. We before saw that they put the baby into like this little shoebox type thing. Yeah, which is this is where I'm like, oh god, like that's terrible. And putting it in with oxygen, which obviously you got to do what you got to do at this point. But I'm just like, oh, that's fucking terrible. Yeah. But that's kind of the things I liked about this movie, is that they realistically showed things you would have to do in that scenario, and that's obviously you'd have to do it.
Access to and such.
Yeah. So the baby's okay, survived being put in a box. John Krasinski's okay. He's telling her that he's gonna go out and look for the kids. She's like, all right, I'm gonna sit here and take a nap again. And so she falls back asleep, and then she wakes up, and half the basement is fucking flooded because there's a leaky pipe, of course. This is where anxiety reaches its peak, and we see that there is a monster in the goddamn basement with them. The baby is starting to make some noise. The baby is like about to go underwater.
Yeah. John, you gotta put the mattress back when you leave. What was that?
Yeah, right? Come on, man. To me, that was the scariest part was the monster going into the water, like slowly, like head first. And I was just thinking of like that's kind of a thing in video games, like a trope. I feel like it's in what's the Amnesia? There's like a level where you have to like go through water, but there's like this thing under. Anyway, it's like that was like the scariest part of Amnesia, and to me that was also like the scariest part of this movie. It was like, okay, now it's underwater. Why are you going in the fucking water?
Yeah,
it's gonna save the baby.
It's just the entire thing is it's terrible. It's just like I do not want to deal with this at all ever. Obviously, we see that Emily Blunt eventually gets the baby. The baby doesn't drown, and a noise distracts the monster. Correct?
Yeah. So they are. Let's see. She's under the waterfall. The monster's like right there, and then one of them makes a noise outside. Which one?
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Someone makes a noise.
Yeah.
So that monster goes flying back, and then obviously we get back to the kids. They run and they get into the car they get into the truck with the monster. They're kind of being like stalked by the monster, and we see John Krasinski come out, and he has an axe.
Yeah, that was a really great scene too. Like the frame where, he's in the like frame, and then it like pans back a little bit, and the monster's just right above him. Like, oh shit.
And so John Krasinski gets fucked up by that monster.
Yeah.
He gets tossed. We kind of really see how strong they are.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the kid, in kind of like a very stereotypical like way in a movie, he just yells "Dad."
Yeah.
Although in that scenario, I'd probably just be under my breath, and be like, "Fuck, Dad's dead."
Yeah.
He yells "Dad," so the monster sees where they are, and the monster's crawling over to them again. And then this is where the scene we were just discussing comes up. John Krasinski stands up. We see that he's not fully dead, but he's pretty badly wounded.
I would say he's probably mortally wounded, right?
Yeah, there's no hospitals. They're not going to be able to just sew that up. What I thought was a very, very nice scene. I'm not a crier, but I was like, I'd cry if I was a crier in this point. John Krasinski tells his two kids, but mainly his daughter, that I loved you, I always loved you, and this is where he does kind of the cheesy yell.
It's Moore's favorite part.
I thought everything about that, even the "I love you," like "I love you," that was so fucking cheesy. And maybe it was just John Krasinski. I had like a really hard time separating him, not only from just himself as this guy from The Office, this kind of goofy guy. It's like pretty funny person in real life. And then also just him in the role of the director. I don't know why I was just like aware of it the whole time. I was just like, he's directing himself to do this like really cheesy thing.
So I went into it. I didn't even realize he was. I for some reason, I'm usually pretty big on looking at who the director is before, but somehow I just completely missed that he was the director until the movie was over.
Yeah.
No, I do have to agree though. I really ate up that scene where he tells the daughter that he loves her. But I do have to agree that yell, it's kind of like, and most other movies I probably laugh at that point when he yelled. That's a funny way.
It was a good idea for them to drop this audio out of it.
Yeah.
Like,
I
it would
agree.
have been real bad if it's just him being like, ah.
Yeah, and him just getting sliced up. So then the son's like, all right, Dad's dead. I'm out. Pulls the e-brake. He goes down in the car, and then this is where Emily Blunt, I think she's back in the control room. She realizes what's going on, and she runs out with the kids, and she realizes that her husband's dead. So they go back into the basement, and then the other things are just coming at them. One comes into the basement. This is another scene where the anxiety was just fully cranked up. I'm just like, okay. And then obviously we get Emily Blunt has a shotgun, and we have the daughter. When she gets down to the basement, she realized that her dad wasn't a dick. He was actually doing all these really nice things for her. And we get her adjusting the hearing aid again. And as we all know, this is the weakness of the monsters. And when the hearing aid is fully cranked up, when she actually realized what it was doing, the monster exposed kind of like a flesh part underneath their armor. And that's obviously when Emily Blunt caps it. That thing went down like a sack of potatoes. That thing, you could tell that thing was her. Yeah. And so this is the part what I thought was the cheesiest part. They realize what's going on. They're all safe. They realize how they can beat them now. And then Emily Blunt just cocks the shotgun once, like she's
It kind of reminded me of the end of like a Resident Evil movie.
I agree. It reminds me like the start of like a level in GTA where you're about to shoot out and just want to just cock it. And then it just cuts to the credits.
I initially thought it was just going to be a really dark ending. Like, they killed it, and then we see just like tons and tons of them coming to the house, and then that was just going to be the end.
I was thinking that too, and I kind of hoped it was that because at least it's like kind of they have the ability to kill these things now. We don't need to know that like they are gonna do it in like a badass manner. It was just kind of like it would have left it open-ended, but it's like technically they could have made it, or they could have died because it's like also really iffy.
Maybe it's like a test audience thing, like, hey, maybe. Like you make it seem like they win, because like that's a huge bummer.
People like a happy ending.
So one of my biggest disappointments comes after actually this movie came out with the fact that they announced that there's going to be a sequel to this.
Yeah, I don't want a sequel.
Wait, they are?
Yeah, unfortunately.
That's
it's like kind of typical of Hollywood now, though. That it was something like this. It was too good to just leave be, and so
apparently it's not like we're getting Get Out 2. We don't need A Quiet Place 2.
That's
it's
actually. It's funny because I was just thinking when we were talking about the city thing about like, oh, what would happen in the city? I was like, that could be kind of a cool sequel, but at the same time, I don't want one.
No, like I just
Yeah.
want this like little like small story about a family. I don't need to know what happened to the rest of the world. Like the little hints in the
Yeah.
background are enough. Like
the only thing I would be semi cool with was if they just show like the initial outbreak and the things like when it first started happening. I'd be okay with, but yeah, if they're doing just a sequel of just set in a different part of this universe, you're pretty
it's
much
another one of those fires. It's the same
Yeah,
exact setting. It's just what their next door neighbors were doing.
it's just like it's
Actually knock over a thing and
Yeah.
it's fire lights up. It's like, oh no.
Yeah,
yeah, the Krasinski's over there making a shitload of noise.
I know.
Just from their perspective.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they do another sequel, it has to be basically be the same exact ending as this one, or it's going to be one where just everybody dies and they don't figure it out.
Right.
Or yeah, I guess the other option is like have it be like, oh, day 600, we know what stops these. How does it pan out from there? I don't know.
Yeah. Day 600,
It's just a
we figured it out, but now
straight-up
they have
action
shotgun.
Yeah.
Yeah, now they've adapted.
It's like in the vein of Resident Evil or like Underworld. Emily Blunt's just like taking them out like really crazily.
What did you guys think of the monster's design itself? Because I felt like it was a bit unoriginal. I mean, it seemed like so much like the Demogorgon from Stranger Things.
It's the
and a combination of
Demogorgon with
couple
the
things.
Cloverfield monster together. That's what I
Yeah.
was thinking.
I thought Demogorgon Cloverfield. Did you guys ever see Starship Troopers?
Yeah.
It
Way
kind of
back,
remind
yeah.
it kind of remind me of
It
those
does
aliens
kind of, yeah, the legs.
with like the razor legs.
Mm.
I thought they were fine. I'm cool with the Demogorgon and Stranger Things. And with Cloverfield, I was fine, but I thought the design was good. It wasn't like too crazy. At the same time, it was still like a terrifying monster. So I think I liked it. I liked it.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it
mean,
was
I think we're
properly
gonna
scary.
for a while get like creatures inspired by the Demogorgon, just because that was like a pretty decently original monster for that show. And it's like, well, what are we gonna do now? Because like obviously that's scary, so we'll just slightly modify it for our movies.
Right. We have the monster of the decade or whatever.
All right, guys. So to kind of wrap it up, let's, if you don't mind, let's do our scores. So I think I ended up giving it like, I'm gonna have to go back and listen, but I think I ended up giving it like a 9.2 and 9.5. I'm very high on this movie. I thought this movie.
That's quite high.
I thought it is really high. I guess I can't go back and say something different because I think
I can't go back.
I regardless, I thought this movie was really, really well done. Other than like the few plot holes, I thought it was like a perfect timing at 90 minutes. I think anything longer would have been too long. I liked John Krasinski in it. I liked that final scene, short of the yell, with the daughter. I liked how some of the attention to detail with things. So yeah, I'm pretty high on this movie. I like this movie a lot.
All right, some more. What are your thoughts?
So yeah, I guess I didn't get into this until now, but my main thoughts were basically, I don't know, knowing that it was John Krasinski's first, this is his debut feature film.
Well, it's third movie.
Oh, he's directed other films?
Yeah,
He directed one. It was like a comedy that I actually saw. It wasn't anything
really?
special.
Oh
Directed
yeah,
the-
The Hideous Men.
Yeah, Brief Interviews with Hideous Men.
Yeah,
He did that.
Feature.
I did see that.
And then he
I
did another one that was like a family comedy. That wasn't too bad. It actually had Charlie Day in it. It had Anna Kendrick in it. So there was a few people that.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I
Is,
completely
Brief
forgot about Hideous
Interview
Men.
with Hideous Men any good? Because it's one
What's
of my
that?
favorite
Sorry,
books.
cut out.
Oh, is Brief Interview with Hideous Men any good? Because
Yeah, actually, I was gonna say I liked it.
Curious as to how it translates.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I mean, I never read the book, but I think as far as like his films, I would probably put it ahead of A Quiet Place.
All right.
It's a little bit more like I don't know, a deeper concept in a way. Although monster movies are great. But anyway, back to like my main point was just that this felt so much like a freshman film because like in film school, usually your first assignment is like make a black and white silent film, and the visuals have to speak for it, and you can't rely on dialogue. So this felt very much like an exercise in like, hey, I'm a director now, and here's my movie. And there was just so many like visual cues that to me were like really predictable or obvious or just like cliche, including that the signage of like, how do I kill these, or even just some of the visual language as far as like, oh, this is how we're going to reveal that she's like pregnant. It just felt like such an I don't know. Some of those shots to me were just like very predictable and kind of
right.
Yeah.
You say it's like burnt out on stuff like that because of all the freshman films you had to watch.
Yeah. Maybe it's just because I've watched so many like student films and things like that. But a lot of those visual cues were like tropes that I've seen before, or just like obvious things like, oh, here's a calendar, we know they've been alive for this long, and things like that. Even though, I mean, obviously they have to do that to like keep the audience aware of like what's happened and what's going to happen and stuff. But that was the main thing that bugged me.
It's tough because a lot of times, like in movies, they'll have like the opposite problem because they'll just have characters saying shit. It's like, why would you say that? Like, like realistic, like it wouldn't be like if the three of us were hanging out in real life, and now that like you guys know each other, I wouldn't be like, well, Dylan, as you know, Tamora and I have been friends for years. Like,
right?
I wouldn't say something like that. So they kind of had to do this similar thing because they couldn't like say anything in this movie to like get the background info across. Whereas like in a movie where you can't say stuff, it would be better to have the stuff in the background. Like, it'd be like a picture of me and Tamora in middle school, just like in the background.
Right.
Like,
to me, that's almost like worse than like, because like I feel like with dialogue, you can write it in a more clever way, or just like have a moment that's more interesting. I don't know, even just like a look, or like a laugh. Like they share a laugh over something that's like not that funny, but you just can tell it's an inside joke. Like, I don't know. Those are just like
Bucky and
just
Cap
random examples
before they get off the helicarrier in Civil War, where they talk about the women they dated when they were young in the 40s.
Right. So even something like that to me is like just a bit more, I don't know, interesting than just like, oh, there's a clock on the wall, so we know whatever about this character. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what it would have. I don't know how they would have done in this movie, but I do understand what you're saying for sure.
Right. But as far as the score, I don't know. I mean, I think I want to say like 6.5.
6.5. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for me, I liked it quite a bit. I love horror movies, but if we're being honest, a lot of horror movies are awful. Like straight up just garbage. So when you can find a good horror movie, I think that's something pretty special, because for some reason the genre just breeds like laziness and unoriginality. And I thought this was a really original, concept, and the performances were very strong, even by the kids, who was like, that's usually pretty hard to get. Like, maybe it's because they don't have to speak much. I don't know.
True.
I don't know how that helps, but I liked a lot of the world building. I liked the lights. Like, I didn't see that coming at all. I didn't understand. I was just like, oh, this is very like pleasant visually. And I was like, oh, this has a purpose later. That's cool.
Yeah, that was really cool.
So for me, this movie is an 8 out of 10.
Cool. I think we got full range here.
Yeah, I guess we're all over the map. No, I think I guess
I would say 8's very high for me. Like a 9, I think I've only ranked like Black Panther a 9.
Yeah, I'm kind of like I don't know. I was high in this. I'm still high in this movie, but 9.5 is pretty high. I guess if I had to correct the score, I'd still probably go like an 8.8. 8.9. I'm still, like I said, I'm really high in this movie. I thought this was
Right.
I'm not huge into going to seeing horror movies, so I think that kind of plays into it where I went into this with like zero expectations, and I was really pleasantly surprised by how well it flowed, and I just thought it was, I guess, perfect timing. So like corrected score, I guess 8.8, 8.9, but I'm still really high. I'm still really high on it. So
Right. I was like thinking when it was like funny, like recap it all, and you're like, oh, actually, I don't like this movie.
yeah,
Like, after you like talk about it all.
I set my score and I was like, holy shit, that 9.5 is really high.
Very high. I mean, it also depends on how you score. Like personally, I'm like, I don't know, painfully honest. Yeah, I'm like, oh, I like that movie a lot. I'll give it a 7.5 or something.
Yep.
No, I think that is good though, to have like a range between the three of them. You know.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
All right, so Tamora fucking hated this movie, Brian. No, Tamora.
No, 6 is a positive rating. It's fresh.
6.5. Brian gave it an 8. And then I gave it an 8.9. In between an 8.9 and 9.5. So I think it's
IGN.
Yeah.
I think it's technically certified fresh from all of us. So.
Oh yeah. I would definitely say like,
It's fresh. I would say see it.
And I think like a better like way of saying is like ranking it like see it or skip it. You know. Like this is firmly in a see it. Like,
yeah, I think this is like a definitely see it for me. So.
Yeah, there's tons of memorable moments.
Yeah, a podcast I like. They just have 2 ratings. Is like best movie ever, worst movie ever.
That's pretty much how I score things. So.
Oh man!
All right, guys, it has been fun. Tomorrow, you definitely have to jump on more. I think because I think we'll definitely need more of a review and a third party from where
we need like especially after Infinity War Part 2 to like bring Dylan and I back to Earth probably.
Yeah.
As we're like, this is an 11 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
We get excited about Marvel movies. I don't know.
Yes, we're very high on Marvel and superhero movies.
Yeah.
But,
I will gladly join you, although I do not watch Marvel movies, sadly. But
you should
don't
don't watch any of them. You should just watch Infinity War Part 2 and then try to give us a review.
Did you guys see Isle of Dogs?
I haven't yet. I'm a big Wes Anderson fan, so I'm looking.
Sweet. Yeah, I would happily talk
didn't
about
want
that.
to see it, and I was like, "What?"
Doesn't she love dogs?
Yeah, she loves them a lot.
It
so a whole aisle of them seems like it would be a cup of tea.
I was a really big Fantastic Mr. Fox fan, so I'm looking forward to him going back to the stop motion. So
actually, that's the only one of his I haven't seen.
It's very good. I recommend it.
Yeah,
that's honestly like the best part of this new movie. Like the animation is so amazing. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Man, what a talented guy.
I love Wes Anderson. Yeah.
Talented boy.
He's a good boy. Tamora, do you have anything you want to plug? Any projects or anything that you want to bring up before we go?
I don't know. Our own channel. I don't know.
Yeah, so hop on over to Wicked Good Everything. That's where this is. Wow.
Cool.
We can find previous podcasts by us. We just did a summer movies preview, and then after this, I think the next one we do is going to be Deadpool. Is that correct?
Yes. I think we're going to take a Sunday off this week since we're giving you a nice bonus episode. We worked so very hard on this.
Yes.
And then we'll be back for Deadpool, and then fucking Solo, and then kind of the summer.
Yeah, then all the rest of the movies. I don't think we're just going to do straight reviews throughout the summer. That'd be a lot.
Nope. Yeah, we're not going to go review Uncle Drew and like Mission Impossible stuff. I think our summer. I think after Solo, I think we're probably holding off until maybe Ant-Man, since Ant-Man is going to be so important to the Avengers. So
the MCU. Yeah, I don't think anyone wants to hear my review of Jurassic World 2.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is where we have to start using our brains to start coming up with topics. So stay tuned to how long this podcast lasts.
the top 5 things we may have tried episodes.
Yes.
Very sorry.
All right, guys. I think that's it. As usual, make sure you check out Wicked Good Everything on YouTube. You're listening to Brian and Dylan take on the world here on iTunes and YouTube, so make sure you stick around and do that, and make sure you stalk our channel and watch every single video we put out, because we pretty much put out a video once a day, and it's pretty solid.
Yeah, and send me pictures of ghosts on Twitter. So, please. Bye, guys. Later.
All right. This